What's going on, guys? Today I'm sitting down with Rahul Issar, who is the head of paid media at Reach Digital, and he manages over $5 million in Facebook ad spend at the moment. He works with a lot of D2C and e-comm brands, specializing in Facebook and TikTok ads. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down his exact strategies for Facebook media buying, as well as TikTok media buying, and a lot of other things in between. So it's going to be a good episode. So I'm Nikita from aspectagency.com. Let's go ahead and jump into the interview. What's going on, Rahul? How are you? How you doing?
Good brother, good brother. Yourself?
Likewise, good. Just finishing up Thursday. Got you, and then I got another call after this, and I'm pretty much done.
Nice, nice. Whereabouts are you currently staying at the moment?
Right now I'm in Nashville. So I was in Chicago, and I just moved here like 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
just enjoying my stay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you permanently there now, or are you moving
yeah,
around a bit?
yeah,
Nice, nice.
exactly. Yeah, I like to
Yeah,
stay at one spot I like to have a home base.
yeah,
So I'm not a nomad by any means.
yeah. Try to do the whole nomad thing. It was quite difficult because I was in Bali for I think 2.5 months.
Yeah.
But the productivity kind of just decreases a little bit. So it is quite tricky, but I do miss my home back here. So it's good to be back.
Dude, as soon as I leave the postal code, my brain shuts off. So
Yeah.
like like I cannot get any work done aside from like basic, like the only things that keep me in check when I'm traveling is just doing calls. Like I know I have a call and that's all I'm gonna do. And then after that I'm going back to the beach.
I guess traveling in the States is much easier, but when you cross time zones, that's when it gets like really tricky, especially with client meetings. Because I know
Yep.
Bali was like a 12-hour difference, and that was insane. So managing that,
Really?
yeah, it was a whole nother level.
Yeah, that's messed up. I remember I traveled to Thailand for a few years, and it just messed everything up as far as like I have a meeting at like 1 p.m. normally here. That would be like 12 a.m. there, and it's just
Yeah, it's
impossible to do
nuts.
anything.
It's nuts.
So, but anyways, I remember we met. I believe if anything, it was like a year ago or so when I was hiring for a media buyer, and it didn't
Yeah,
work out.
yeah,
But I know that you're still media buying. Is that still like Facebook media buying? Is that still the main way, like your main sort of thing that you're still doing?
yeah. So I'm currently the head of paid at Reach Digital. So I manage most of the ad accounts there. We've got a few guys that work on the Google side as well as Facebook. But in terms of strategy and execution, I kind of do majority of it.
Mm,
So managing anywhere from 3 to 5 million a month. Um, and the interesting thing is, like, I know I've discussed with a lot of people lately. It's like media buying is so much more different now than what it used to be. Even when we discussed last year, I think
yeah.
it was a lot to do with copywriting, and I think finding placements or campaign structures back then, and like turning things on and off. I think now it's much more bigger than that. It's like you almost have to be a full stack marketer in a way. I mean, take email out of it though, but you have to have an idea of creative strategy. I know I watched the episode with Mark, like he's a genius. You have to have an idea of CRO. What's your post click experience going to be like? Because your ads might be great, your campaign structure might be great, but what happens when someone clicks on it and they don't have a good post click experience? It's like if
Hmm.
you can fix your landing page or make some CRO changes, that's going to make your ads look much better, and you're going to be able to spend more as an agency, or as a brand you can spend more, so, and more profitably as well. And another thing was, um, part of my job is also thinking of offers, how we can increase AOV, how we can bundle things together. So that's been a main part, is like creative offer and also running the ads. It's kind of a whole big picture coming into media buying now that I think a lot of media buyers need to get used to slowly.
Yeah, 100%. I remember like I first started out doing Facebook ads like way back in like 2016 or 2017, and that was a completely different world than it is right now. Like my transition into email was only recent, like 6 to 12 months ago. But
Right.
that's also because I've had over 5 years of email experience, so it wasn't that much of a transition. It's just that we stopped acquiring Facebook ad clients. But over the years, I noticed the industry just evolve and get smarter, and you can't use those exact same tricks and hooks as you were able to do in like 2017, 18, 19, and
Yeah, exactly. And that's like back then we could just run like a static and you'd have like an amazing return on your spend. It's like
Yeah.
cool, minimal effort. You're just like launching budgets and trying different audiences and stuff. But now it's like you kind of actually have to care about the customer and kind of look at the whole experience.
The fact that you actually have to take like care of
Yeah, in
customers.
time, like I'm seeing on Twitter like a lot of creative strategists pop up here and there, a lot of content creators pop up, and um it's great. It's really cool to see all of it, especially with the creative strategy. I know I've had a chat with Mark a few times, and the way he thinks about like personas and audiences is very interesting, and like it's gotten me deeper into that world where I'm using post-purchase surveys more. I'm asking questions like, why did you even buy from us? Like, what's so special from our brand versus another competitor brand? And that kind of tells me insights like, oh, some people, we've got a hair care brand who we literally just asked them, why did you purchase from us?
Mhm.
And people will write like a full-on like paragraph sometimes telling like a backstory of like, I was losing a lot of hair due to COVID and I needed something. I heard a lot of good things about you guys from my friends and I really want to try you out. So it's like you can take elements of these things now and use them in your ads and really address those problems directly. And that makes the whole content creation flow much easier and smoother. So it's a good and bad thing, but it's a lot more effort these days. I can definitely tell that.
I just remember way back in the day, like you said, all you needed was like the right targeting and a basic static image, and then it evolved into like, okay, you need a good image, good targeting, then you need a good landing page for
Yeah,
high conversion rate. Then it's like, okay, direct response copy with high flashy imagery or video or carousels, whatever. And then iOS hit, and then it's like, fuck, what do I do now? And now it's more so transitioning into video hooks, angles, UGC,
yeah,
IGC, um, and essentially like where you were able to bootstrap a brand before with minimal effort, as long as you had good branding, good offer, and the product solved the problem that a customer had. Now you kind of have to do so much back end effort, like on my side, you need all the email flows, you need the
yeah,
right branding, the messaging, the packaging, the the freaking the customer service, the product, everything. Like it's like 50K to like launch a decent store at this point, if not 100K.
yeah, yeah. It really takes a lot of effort. I mean, another route is like just being patient. Back then, you could just launch a store. Yeah, you can do something with TikTok, but if you really want to create like a brand feel, then it's got to go a bit bigger than that. You have to think about, like you mentioned, the whole packaging and the whole um what a customer thinks about when they think about your brand. Things like that, where it takes a bit longer to, especially if you don't have experience and you're doing this for the first time, it's a massive learning curve for anyone really. So for if I had to launch a brand, I would kind of go with the TikTok route. I
Mhm.
have experience in that, so I know how to grow an organic channel. So I would definitely partner up with like an influencer and give like maybe like an equity in their business, be like, hey, like I'll give you X amount of percentage. And if you want to team up, we'll just grow this brand together. And I think that would be like the best way to actually go from 0 to 20K in a couple of months just by teaming up with someone who's actually got an audience,
Mhm.
um, which fits your ideal customer.
Yeah, I notice a lot of brands are also like building in public on Twitter, and I'm sure that's helped them
Oh, huge.
significantly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
huge. It's common on both D2C and SaaS because I'm also doing a bit of SaaS on the side.
Yep.
I'm working on a couple of projects, which is exciting. And our strategy is to just literally tell everyone what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yep.
And I've done it before where I sold a SaaS like a couple of months ago, and people love that process. They love to know where you made your mistakes. They love to provide their own feedback because everyone just loves to voice their opinion.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it's crazy. Even on TikTok, I'll post something and they're like, "Oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" And it's like sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's positive, but you just always got to take a positive take to it. But yeah, Twitter is huge. I know for myself personally, the networking opportunities I've even got through there is unbelievable. Like I don't think any other platform can do something that Twitter has done. I know it's been great for yourself. I know we discussed a lot like early days, like
Yeah.
growing our presence on Twitter. So I think it's getting more present now with e-commerce that they're building in public. And I think
Yeah.
if you look at Obvi, for example, they're doing a great job, Ash and Ron at kind of like, and now they're kind of like industry experts almost. You look up to them like, oh my God, what are these guys doing? How can I learn from them? And it's very interesting. So hopefully, it can get to that stage one point. But yeah, on the
Well,
road.
even from like a customer standpoint of view, like you have a direct line to that, like for example, like with Avi, like you have the direct line to their CMO or their CEO, like Ron or Ash,
Yeah,
because they're that public about it. So like if you have like any qualms or concerns or even any questions, like I know if you DM them and you're a genuine like prospective customer, they'll answer you back with like a
easily.
DM.
Yeah, easily. I think that's getting more present these days. I don't know who, I don't know who told me this, but they were hiring. There was a company that were hiring for a new CEO, and they're like, "Does your CEO create content on any platform?" And they were like, "No," and they literally fired him in 2 months. And they were looking for a CEO that has a presence on a platform as well, which I found insane. But I kind of get the concept of it as well. Like if you look at, I was on TikTok, today, and I was scrolling and I found the CEO of AppSumo on there creating content. I'm like, this guy's a millionaire. Like, why
Oh,
is he?
Noah Kagan.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is he creating content on TikTok? But it's like very interesting and people genuinely love to see it. But then it's like, I think that's just the future where it's like, CEOs and founders just have to keep showing their face and building that one-to-one connection with the audience.
I think it's just the way that the industry is going to mature itself into like, as you know, like with TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, it's just de it's taken down all the gatekeeping of being like famous. And like everyone wants to be famous. Like there's like tons of surveys where like kids like number one thing that they want to grow up to be is like a YouTuber or like a
Yeah, true.
TikTok, like a viral person on TikTok. So that's just another way for like the average person to like get themselves out there, and it's a lot easier. All you need is an iPhone at this point and like a good idea,
Yeah,
and you're out there. um so I think it's just lowering the barrier to entry for everyone to become famous. And even with these millionaires, like why would they be doing that? I think mainly because they want to still stay relevant, because if they are not keeping up with the current trends, then no one's gonna know them for what they did, you know. Like
yeah.
no one's buying magazines, no one's watching TV interviews, but this is the only way to get your voice out there, and you control it too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think podcasts, newsletters, all these things are getting more popular again. Like I know every person in D2C is creating like a podcast now, and it's insane. Um, but it's good though because people are loving to consume content. I know I listen to podcasts all the time, even if I'm working or driving somewhere. I think it's always good. Like I'll get like an idea from somewhere and I'll pull over and write it down or whatever it is. Um, but yeah, I think content is the future, and I think Alex Holmesy explained it quite well, where he's like, "How do I get from one stage in terms of monetary value to another stage?" And he would look at like Kylie, like the Kardashian family, and they'd all have an audience, and they'd just monetize that audience. And he's like, maybe I just got to do that and build my own audience in order to just grow my business much faster. So yeah, I definitely think content is the future, and it's just how like you put yourself on the platform.
Yeah. I know it's funny enough, like you, but Badal, I think I'm saying his name correct. Like, you know him, Hermosi, as well as I think Nathan Bear, no, I think Nathan Barry is the guy that created ConvertKit, or a different app. But anyways, like I read, like I remember talking with you and like interviewing you like a year ago, and then a few months later I checked you out on Twitter. I'm like, holy shit, he has 1,000 followers. And then same thing with Badal. I was like, he DM'd me out of nowhere on Twitter, and then I messaged him back, and he had like 100 followers. And I checked back in a few months, he's like a 1,500. I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah, that's
how?
nuts.
And I'm like, okay, this is powerful. And then it took me another 3 months before I started taking it more seriously. And now, like, with the
Yeah,
help of like a program, I was able to like skyrocket the following
that's
and actually.
insane.
So
I
yeah,
think ever since I started TikTok, and I saw traction, and it kind of led towards clients for our work. Um, I was just like, okay, any platform someone suggests to me or any platform I see, I'm just gonna go all in. I don't care. So like my new strategy for content is actually I will create. Well, my goal is to create 4 videos, the YouTube videos a month, maybe a bit more. So like around a video a week. And then what I would do is I'll take my VA takes key elements of that video, turns them into like a TikTok. I post it on TikTok and IG, all automated.
Hmm.
And then from there, I'll sit down on a Sunday, whatever it is, and write out a thread based on key elements of that, whatever the YouTube video is about. And that's my Twitter thread done for the week. And then I'll have an Instagram post, which is just a link to the video. It could be a carousel, and then I'll have a LinkedIn post as well. So that's kind of like one post. It's the Gary Vee style, basically. One post will just go to multiple social media platforms, and that's kind of my strategy. And it's been insane this month. I've been able to grow a lot on a lot of platforms. Got to talk to some amazing people. So I definitely recommend that if you're not doing it yet.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm actually in the process of hiring someone. Like right before this video, I was writing up the job brief for a social media person
Yeah.
that can handle like the YouTube editing, TikTok editing, Reels, repurposing. I have a similar strategy to you that I'm planning on building out within the next like 2 to 3 weeks with a content person. But it's a little bit backwards where I write 2 threads a week, and those 2 threads serve as the foundation for the newsletter that I'm putting out every week, the YouTube videos that I'm putting out, the
Oh,
YouTube
damn, you're
videos.
doing a newsletter as well?
Yeah,
Damn, nice, nice. It's all around email marketing.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
that's cool.
It's
That's
just
cool.
me repurposing the threads that I put up on Twitter into
Yeah.
it's literally a copy and paste.
Yeah.
So it takes 15 minutes to set up. So getting that done, repurposing the YouTube videos into like bite-sized pieces of content,
Yeah.
then repurposing the YouTube video itself into a podcast. That's one. I guess I'm doing one video a week of those, and the second video a week is one of these kinds of interviews that I'm doing with you, repurposing
Nice.
that into a podcast, taking clips from that, and then also maybe on top of that, splicing in, like taking like really viral tweets or viral quote unquote tweets that I put out from that week
Yeah.
into actual like short form TikToks, which then TikTok, Reel, Shorts, LinkedIn,
Massive. Yeah.
blog. There's a lot of like there's a lot of shit that's in the pipeline that I'm excited to work on, but like that's essentially the be everywhere content strategy that I have right now. And it all starts from Twitter threads and tweets.
Exactly, man. You just got to have something that kind of just catches the audience in Twitter threads and provides the value. I think that's the best way I've found my threads to go semi-viral, whatever you could say. Is just be super transparent and provide value, and the rest will come.
Yeah, for me, it's mainly been about just sharing. Like, I don't care if I share like our entire email strategy because I know like it's all going to go back to me. So,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why a few people are afraid, where especially when it comes to creating content, that I know I've got a few friends that are like, oh my God, I want to get on TikTok. I want to start creating content. And I'm like, so what's stopping you? And they're like, oh, I'm kind of afraid what someone's going to think about me and like what they're going to say. And I'm like, dude, if you really want it, it's part of the journey. Like being an entrepreneur is shitty. It's like being an athlete 24/7. You kind of have like no breaks because like anyone can just take over. So, and you have to be ready to know that you're gonna fail like at the start, because
yeah.
you're gonna learn from it, and then you're just gonna keep going, right? So I think my advice for them was just like, look, no one really cares. They'll look at you for one day and they'll move on. Like I think Drake had some good advice. He's like, if the problem disappears after like 48 hours or something, then it's not relevant. And I think like that's like one of my mottos. Like if something is bothering me after 48 hours, cool, I'll address it. If it doesn't, just keep moving and put your head
Yeah, it's
down.
definitely a really good way to live about it. Um, this has been like a huge side tangent. I was also going to ask you more about media buying,
Yeah, I'm
but
so sorry. I kind of
no
went off
worries, man. I still
tangent.
think this is super valuable. But I guess like, how did you land into media buying?
I originally started with drop shipping. I had my own drop shipping store. I was just, selling those typical AliExpress products, and I really enjoyed it. Did well. Sold the store. Um, then I navigated actually into the art decor you've got in the background. I was selling something similar. So I sold that brand a couple of months ago. But most of my media buying journey came through there. I used to be a software developer before it. So after work, I used to get straight into my e-commerce store, media buying. Really, really enjoyed it. And then I started, looking for contracts, like just part-time contracts while I was working as a software developer. So, um, how I can just learn more with a bigger budget. And I think I made a Twitter post about like why people are afraid to work for free. And I kind of just worked for free because I just wanted to work with like, 80K a month budget, 100K a month budget. I just wanted to get that experience fast because I just wanted to be the best at what I do. And I really enjoyed media buying. So the journey came from drop shipping, navigate into the contracting part time. And now, as of a year ago, I'm kind of full time here, spending a lot of money per month and just guiding some people throughout it as well. So that's been majority of the journey.
That's fantastic. It seems like a lot of people that are media buyers started out either in the world of drop shipping or
Mm.
they were like just the social media manager that got transitioned into like the media buying section of their marketing agency. Like those are
Yeah.
the two most common ways I see it.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's either you either do it yourself, use your own money, which is a bit more difficult for, some people, or you just go work for free or a much lower price to someone and just learn, just be a sponge, just learn as much as you can, document everything. Don't be afraid, to ask questions. I think that was one thing when I started where I was like, oh my God, this might be a stupid question, but it's like, honestly, just ask questions, just be as transparent as possible. Especially, I know a lot of media buyers have the issue of being transparent with clients. And I think, Archer and I at Reach Digital, we have like this saying where it's like, we'll almost have like we'll be an operating theater and we'll have like we'll be with the client and the business is like the person lying on the table. And we just
mm,
be transparent to each other on like what is happening. Are they gonna, survive this next week? Whatever it is, like just be super vocal about it because they're gonna appreciate it. And they're like, and that's why even when I media buy now, everything we do is fully SOP based, it's structured, data driven. Everything has a reason behind it. Like for example, I was talking to Mark about it, the way we kind of do media buying is actually through creative sprints, right? So
yeah.
every 2 weeks, every 1 week, depending on budget, we will have like, for example, a hypothesis, and then you have the result. So let's say we start a new brand together, and we want to just have our hypothesis super simple. So the first week will be like, cool, does images work better than videos? Great, let's test that out. Similar style concepts, maybe same models in the images and videos. So you're not differentiating too many variables. And then be like, okay, great. A week's gone. Facebook's allocated majority of the budget towards videos. And it's much more profitable. Cool. Now let's just keep testing more variations of these videos and create a new hypothesis. Maybe the new hypothesis is having different models, but the same script.
Mhm.
Maybe this model works better for our audience because our products suit the Asian demographic. Maybe, who knows? So having those hypotheses and results is more treated as like an investment in data.
Mhm.
Brands get along with it. They're like, oh my God, okay, cool. Even if you guys leave tomorrow, we're gonna know that videos and like the Asian demo fit into our content creation pipeline. And that's gonna stay with them forever. Whereas I still contract for some clients here and there, and I see, or even if I'm consulting, I see a lot of ad accounts where people just launch ads for the sake of it. And I'm like, so, what are you guys doing? Like, why did you just launch this, random piece of like static shot that you've got? Like, oh, it was some new content we got from the influencer. We just launched it. And I'm like, okay, so what was like kind of the conclusion of it? Like, what was the reason for it? And they just don't really have anything. And I think some people are still media buying like it's 2018. And
Yeah.
you kind of, and that's why the consulting part I really enjoy because I love teaching and educating. So, I kind of introduce them into that structure of like everything should kind of have its place and its reason. Like, don't just throw money around for the sake of it. And I think being a former, like, I guess someone who owned a business and had to use their personal money, I totally understand that every dollar kind of makes sense. Every dollar matters. So, and that's why we kind of work in the structure is that every dollar should be an investment and it should be going towards something incremental for the business.
That's one of the big things I noticed when I was still managing Facebook ads and we had our current media buyer or our media buyer managing the ad accounts. It was just analyzing them, and there was just a lot of tests that had zero intention behind them. Like, what was the point of these ads? They were like, oh, well, like you said, like we just got some new creative in, we just wanted to try it out. There really wasn't any, I guess, like what we call as like single variable split testing. So we split test one specific variable, whether it's the headline, the copy, the specific image, or the hook, whatever it is. Like we would test through that and see why, like what worked and why it worked. Oh, it's because the headline's different. Oh, the audience here is different. The hook is different. So when it comes to the actual like testing of the ad account, is there any like what are the main KPIs that you're looking for when you like finish up your tests?
Yeah, totally. So I think the main ones I kind of look at is, well, first of all, what the test is. So I think starting off with that is a good, place to start off, and then going into, if we're looking at the numbers, I like to look into things like, let's say, for example, we've got the video and image example again, and they're in separate ad sets. So isolating them completely. I like to look at amount spent based on each creative type. And then we usually, like for brands, will have the main goal we kind of look at is like the CPA, so what our acquisition cost is. Most of our brands are really profitable on the second purchase, so the first purchase is kind of important for us as well. So we look at the CPA. If the CPA for testing we put as a little bit higher because we know that we kind of have to make that initial investment. We know we're not going to be super profitable because we're testing an element, but usually within the first 3 days, we're looking at is it getting any purchases? One, two, what is the cost per purchase of that creative or element? Again, a lot of people like doing different variations of testing. Some people use like dynamic creatives where you chuck a bunch of creatives and let Facebook kind of decide what to do. I like to have more of a simple structure, even though that's quite simple. I have like an ABO campaign, and then I like to split it out based on creative or whatever the concept is. And then kind of like, I feel like I have more control on where Facebook is going to spend. And I think it's more of an equal test. Don't get me wrong, I do believe in the algorithm, but I just find this method to work much more than dynamic creative. So the main KPIs are cost per purchase, honestly. Then I look at cost per click and click-through rates. If they're kind of below our ideal KPI, so a cost per click, you have to look at the account average. Again, some accounts we have are spending like $4 or $5 plus for cost per click. And that's just because it's a very competitive industry, something like hair care, where a lot of brands are kind of marketing in that niche. You're going to have a high CPMs and high cost per clicks regardless. So looking at what the average is on the account, and if it beats it's a great sign already. Then you look at the click-through rates. Is it beating the original click-through rates that are on the account? Is it less? Why could it be less? What's the video? How many people are like watching the videos? Those are some important like on-platform metrics that you can use. And then there's elements, if it doesn't get any purchases, that's fine. But look at the on-platform metrics like cost per click and click-through rates. If those are looking really strong, then we move on to like our thumb stop ratio. So that's kind of looking at the first 3 seconds. Are they kind of like stopping? Are we stopping the scroll, and are they viewing our content? If that's quite high, then we might have something to work with here. Maybe we need to change something after the 3rd second, and that might encourage the purchase. So we don't completely get rid of it. We'll take the concept, we'll kind of review it, look at these metrics, and be like, okay, what's winning in the other ads? Maybe it could be a different influencer or a cut of different shots. We'll like copy that and add it onto this video, and then retest that as part of another iteration. So that would be another hypothesis. Because what works now for us is actually getting the influencer to record a bunch of B-roll shots, a bunch of different shots, and we're just going to mix and match. Like we'll have one influencer, we'll just give them 10 hooks, be like, say all these 10 hooks in different ways, different backgrounds, you know, like it could be like you could be facing like recording the product, whatever it is. And then we're going to use those hooks with various different types of content we've got. So that way we can mix and match on post edit, and you've got a lot of content to use just for the brand.
Yeah, that's one thing I love. Like that's one thing I miss about media buying is just the instant feedback loop that you get into. With email, it's a bit different. You know, you only get so many chances to try every week before you start to iterate. Or
Yeah,
when you work on automations, it's you only can send on so many emails. But when it came to Facebook ads, you know, you see the soft stats, the click through rate, the cost per click, etc., the CPMS, the reach, and then you can base your decision off that whether you know you should continue the test or like you mentioned, the scroll stop ratio, like when are they stopping the scroll, like what led to them clicking here, and obviously using heat maps on your own end.
yeah,
There you can start to you can, I guess, re-engineer what is going to cause that purchase. So that way you have a very replicable process when it comes to the actual media buying side of things. And like you said, like once you have the, I guess the, what do you call it? The, the root or the source material. That's what I meant. The source
yeah,
material from the influencers, and especially when you have all the multiple takes, like the multiple hooks and the multiple, I guess, angles that the influencer approaches them. Obviously, it might be like 10 minutes of content, but when you dial it down into an ad, it's only 20 seconds. You have
Mhm.
so much room to play around with it to a point where you once you crack it, you got like $1 million ad just running on the back burner.
Exactly. And I think another thing a lot of people are noticing is constant creative fatigue. And I think I'm a half believer in it. I know there can be some type of creative fatigue, but I think once you're testing all these elements, like we've had ads run for over 3 months, you know, and it's been amazing. So you just got to be a bit patient and don't think that your audience is kind of getting fatigued or your creative is getting fatigued really quickly, because it just really takes that one good ad to just keep scaling, you know. What we've seen also work is whitelisting, is partnering up with an influencer that has a great audience, or you know, a page you can leverage and running ads from that page.
Mm.
That's worked great in the, you know, health industry, in the travel industry. We've got a travel brand. Another weird thing I'm experimenting with is actually newsletter placements. Um, that's yeah, we did 2 placements already in the last 2 weeks, and it's been like an amazing return, like ungodly amount of like return on, like, I guess, placement, you could say, for what we got. So that's another cool thing. If you want to shoot outside of the Facebook ad account, you can always look at, you know, newsletter and podcast placements. Those are a great opportunity. I
Mm.
think another question a lot of media buyers have asked me is like, how do you think of creative concepts? Um, and like my process isn't as complicated as Mark's or any other creative strategist. I kind of look at, you know, simple concepts like post-purchase surveys. Why did you purchase? And then I'll dive into like TikTok ad comments or TikTok comments, and I'll dive into Facebook ad comments and kind of seeing what they're saying. You know, some people might say, "Oh, bought this product, but something was wrong with the packaging," or they'll ask questions like, "Why should I buy this? Is it suitable for me? I'm 30 years old. Is it suitable for me? I'm 20." Like whatever it is, those questions can now be used as creative concepts, because that's the problem with a lot of new brands. They struggle with thinking of these ideas, and it's like maybe once you start posting a bit of organic, you'll get an understanding of what your audience is actually confused about, and then you can start answering those in your creative. Another thing could be looking at, you know, your reviews. It could be looking at, you know, competitor reviews. What are their bad reviews that you could improve on and address that? Hey, these guys do this, but we do this much better, and we also provide this. Those are some things we've actually done myself. Another thing, you can think of random creative concepts as well. I had one that performed really well, and we were running that creative for like 6 months, where, you know, I wanted to almost replicate someone's Instagram message replies. So I had like 2 people on the brand where they're just messaging each other. One person posted a story and the other one replied to it. And I was like, "Oh my God, what's your skincare routine?" I've been trying to, like, you know, I'll create the
Yeah.
script and pretend like it's a full-on organic conversation. And we just run that as an ad, and that's been like performing insane
That's the
for us.
great thing that a lot of people don't do, or I guess brands that are in a position of like, I guess 20 to 50K or 20 to 60K,
Yeah.
they have so much to work with, but they forget where they came from. Once you're like, if you're sub 20K or sub 10K, you're reading all the comments, you're reading all the reviews, but once you start to scale up, you forget to reiterate the like there's no reminder there of like, oh, this could be a good angle or this could be a good hook. And
Yeah.
every question you get, every piece of testimonial you get, or every piece of a bad testimonial on a competitor website, those are all fantastic hook ideas that you can utilize in, I guess, your Facebook ad arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. Like even if you're low on budget or whatever it is, you're confused, you're not a creative person. I'm not not that creative. There are ways to, figure it out. And like you mentioned, all those sources are like a great way to start.
Yeah. So if you were to, I guess, if we were to reel everything we talked about in, what would you say are like the three highest leverage actions an e-com or DSC brand can take with their media buying?
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of people have mentioned it, but I think what I've seen work is your campaign structure. So setting yourself up for success, and that's both in testing and scaling campaigns. Your creatives, what type of content you're making and using on your ad account, both on Facebook and TikTok. Your offers, so that could be like a bundle, skincare bundle. You're matching a bunch of products together. And the last one would probably be your post-click experience, which is your landing page. So, it could be a 5 reasons why, it could be an advertorial, whatever it may be. A landing page we've noticed has helped reduce CAC by like 50%. So that's something that's very important to the media buying experience.
Yeah, all of those are great points. I'd say I remember one specific case study where what we did was we retargeted people to a recipes page for like a bakery
That's
offer, and that got us like 50-cent CPAs. Like it was something I've never seen before, where it just converted like crazy.
that's
So
insane.
yeah, having a good post-click experience, I definitely couldn't recommend enough. And obviously all the other things you mentioned, like the offer, the campaign structure, all that are
Yeah.
crucial as well. So if someone were to find you, where could they find you the most, Rahul?
Yeah, it would be probably my Twitter. So it's the Rahul Issar. Or you can just find me on Instagram. It's the same one as well. Also starting to, speed up with the YouTube videos. Same, it's the Rahul Issar. So you can find me there as well.
It's awesome. Yeah. Nobody sleep on this guy. Follow him on every single platform.
Yeah, I'm everywhere.
There you go. Well, honestly, man, it was a pleasure having you on, and I appreciate all the different diverse topics you talked about, and would love to have you on again.
Cool. Let's chat again, dude.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks again for watching, and if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so that you're caught up on all the latest email and marketing training. If you liked the video, hit the like button and drop a comment on what your favorite part of the video was. And if you're a D2C or an e-commerce brand with an email list of at least 10,000 subscribers, make sure to click the link below the video and book a call with me and my team. We work with all kinds of e-com and D2C brands and help them scale their email revenue by at least 30% month over month. So click the link below, we'll hop on a call, look over your account, compile a strategy, and create a plan of action on how to raise your email revenue. After the call, you'll have the option to use the strategy yourself with your own team, or you can choose to work with us. All up to you. It's completely free, no obligation, so click the link below, book in the call, and if you have a list size smaller than 10,000, keep watching the videos and you'll get a lot of value and learn how to increase your list size as well as generate more revenue from email for your store. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.